Computer Science A, Unit 2, Lesson 8, Using Objects, Math Class. The objectives of this lesson are to use commands from the math class in Java and to understand that extra functionality can be added to programs by importing new commands. The math class is part of the language package that automatically gets imported in every Java program. You can also explicitly add it like so. Import java.lang.math. The math class contains static methods, which means that instead of using an object to call the method, we use the class name before the dot notation. So we don't instantiate something as a math. Math is just math, and we use math dot whatever to call the different methods. Static method will be discussed in more detail in Unit 5. The math package includes the math functions outlined below for the AP exam, as well as many, many others. For the AP exam, you'll need to know ABS for absolute value for both ints and doubles, and POW, which raises a value to an exponent, square root, and random. The examples, and here the method, the signature, what you pass it, what it returns, and then what it does. If we look at the int, math.abs, and you pass it -7, it's going to return, of all things, 7, because 7 is the absolute value of -7. Returns the absolute value of a double, math.abs 5.67. It's going to return 5.67. That is the absolute value of 5.67. Now, POW is going to take the base, which is passed first, and raise it to the exponent, which is the second parameter. So this will be 4.5 squared, which becomes 20.25. Square root takes the value passed and returns a double, which is the actual square root. So 25 returns 5.0. Random returns a double value greater than or equal to 0 and less than 1. So math.random, I don't know what it's going to return. It's going to return a random value between 0.0 and 1.0. There's a value. It could be anything, okay? There are ways, and we will look at ways of saying exactly what random values I might want, okay? So this is one of them. You can use this to create a random value between 1 and 6, 0 and 20, etc. And we'll look at that. Now, random numbers can be very useful in all sorts of applications. Rolling die, flipping a coin, selecting a seat. But often we want a random integer in a given range, not a random decimal. When I roll a die, I'm not going to get 0.39 something. No, I'm going to get a 1, I'm going to get 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots, 5 dots, or 6 dots. Well, we can transform our call to random as follows, where we know the range of numbers and the minimum number. What are the possible values that could be printed with the following statement, 1 to 100? Okay, we have double, answer 1 is set to math.random. Okay, so we get some random, some very long double. Then we're going to do double answer 2 is set to the int. We're going to typecast it. Okay, so we're going to typecast it to an int. And we're going to take answer 1 and multiply it by 100. And then we add 1. So, order of operations. Here, if this were the double, if this were the crazy random number that we got, then answer 1 times 100 is going to be 34.79, blah, 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 blah. The integer of this, the int, if we typecast it, remember it's going to chunk off the decimal portion, and we're just going to have 34, and we add 1, and we're going to get 100. So this statement could give us anything from 1 to 100. System.out.println answer. Okay? In math, you used to learn how to transform a repeating decimal into an integer. Okay? System.out.println answer 2. Smallest is here. Largest is 99. And 99, you get 1 added to it and you get the 100. Okay? So you want to think about this. This isn't totally simple, but this is one way we could do it. If we want to write the code to generate a random number between 15 and 35, int math.random times 20 plus 15. Okay. This will get us that random number. Remember, we go inside out. We take our random double, multiply it by 20, make it an integer, and then we add up to 15. Now, if we want to write code that simulates rolling 2 die and calculating the sum, if you want to, try pausing the video and writing this code. And then we'll look at it together. So pause the video. Okay, you're back. How'd you do? You want the possible values of 2 through 12. That's what you would get if you rolled 2 die. So the range is 10, and we start with 2. So int math.random times 10 plus 2. Let's go back and take a look, just real quick. Here, from 1 to 100, we multiplied it by 100. That was the range, and our starting value was 1. Here, when we did this one, so boom, our starting value is 15, boom, and 15 to 35 is 20. Are you seeing the pattern? So if you want to generate a random number between 2 variables, okay, oops, between 2 variables, see if I can get my pen here to work, you're going to have int, because it's the integer, if you're wanting an int value, and then you're going to have math.random. Remember, you don't have to pass it anything. Then you're going to multiply it by the range. Okay, how many different possible values could you want? And you're going to add the initial value. So up here, 2 through 12, 10 and 2. What if I wanted 1 die? That would be 1 through 6. So I would start at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, remember you take this number and subtract. Okay, so 12 minus 2 was 10. 6 minus 1 is 5. So I would do math.random times 5 plus 1. And this would get me to my 1 through 6 values. Okay? Pause the video and try a few of these. Okay? Remember, your initial values points, your smallest value, you've got all these zeros and a 1. And your largest value is if you've got 9.9999s, etc., right? So if I multiply this by 5, I'm still going to have 0. If I multiply this by 5, what am I going to have? I'm going to have 0.5, right? And so on. Oops. I'm going to have more than that. because you're going to have 0.999999. My bad, I'm just multiplying it by 0.5. So you're going to multiply it by 0.9 repeating, and it depends on where you're going to end that. But let's say you're going to wind up with, oops, the 4.999999, okay? Try a few of these. And anytime you're going to use random, you can always do some systemed out to print lines if you're not sure if you're doing it in the right order or if you're getting the right values, okay? Again, the best way to learn how to do this is to write some code that involves some random numbers. Right. There we go. Now, I'm gonna have you all try a few of these and figure out what would be the output. Obviously, these aren't random ones because random ones wouldn't make sense. But what if I wanted to use the absolute value? Check out these two. Pause the video, try them, and tell me what your answer is. Okay, you're done? Did you get 7? And did you get 81? Over here, oops, you've got y is 2. Do I have this? Okay. Y is 2 minus x is 9. So this is -7, and the absolute value of -7 is 7. Over here, you're going to pass in 9, and then you're going to pass in 2. And remember, this is base, and then the exponent. The order matters, so it's going to take 9 squared, and you wind up with 81. Great. That concludes lesson 8. We're going to do a lot more with random as we move through, and there'll be a lot of examples with random. So keep an eye on it, try some problems with it, understand what it's doing.